I think this is interesting, and I'll try to like write a little bit more about this. But basically, in Nashville, there's a girl who died, and what happened is, well, she was murdered. Really, it wasn't homicide. It was. Let's just explain this. So basically, there was a girl who attended a school in Nashville. I think she was a student at Belmont, and so she's walking around the campus, and she gets hit by a stray bullet, and the bullet was intended for someone else. So, and then she dies. Now, the guy who like shot, he was like trying to shoot someone else who was like there. So for some reason, like people are calling this, they say this has something to do with mental health. I don't know. I feel like everybody's probably struggling with some instance of mental health, but this is where it even gets more interesting. So this guy had a whole rap sheet of like violent offenses. So he had been incarcerated before for like I don't know, there were like 6 or 7 other violent offenses that this guy had committed. And now people are talking about mental health he should have been committed to a mental health institution for trying to shoot someone who he wanted to shoot. And so a whole bunch of people, I guess these are like parents or concerned citizens, like they were trying to pass a bill that was like something to do with like mental health institutions or something, and that would have prevented the death. I just want to be very clear, because like as you watch America just completely go to shit, but make it make sense. Like nothing makes any sense here. Nothing makes any fucking sense. Here's the reality, like people shoot people with guns. Like I know let me give you an example of this. So I have a coworker, right? Now, my coworker is, she like, her personality type is very much so like she just says whatever she wants. She's kind of aggressive a little bit. Anyway, so she comes in one day and she was talking about how like her brother was like murdered on the freeway here. This is something. So her brother had conflict with someone else in the world, and that person who the brother had conflict with followed him on the freeway and then like shot him and his girlfriend in the car. So she's like telling us the story of like how this happened and how she's so upset. And it's like very clear that like someone had gotten revenge on the brother for having conflict. Like I don't feel in that particular case, I don't think that was a case of mental health. That was a case of like severe anger and someone being like, I hate you and I'm gonna kill you, and then they actually went to do it. And I think one thing that Americans might not be familiar with is like that's a real thing that happens. Anyone who is like familiar with like kind of like urban respectability politics, like I don't know, just like really human tendencies, it would be very clear like some people don't know how to deal with anger, and then when they get angry they react in violence. Like we saw this with Keke Palmer's baby daddy, right? He thought she was cheating or he said something else. We are witnessing him beat the shit out of her on camera because his big old feelings caused him to start to hit. I'm like, we see this all the time. Now, in this particular case, a man was trying to kill another man and the bullet just like hit someone else that got in the way. Like somebody, like let's take a second and somebody explain to me, what the fuck does that have to do with mental health? That's anger. Like, are we pretending like that's not a real thing? Like men have been killing each other for like way less for the longest time ever. When people have access to guns, that's what happens. And especially this is like an open carry state. I don't understand. Like, what are people fighting for? Here's another thing on the other side of this. Let me give you another example. There was a guy who I used to work with, and he had a lot of friends who were like emotionally suffering from, it was basically depression. But like some people who suffer from depression, which is obviously like a mental health disorder, it's not just like I can't get out of bed, oh my god, things are so difficult. It's like they just lose the will to want to live anymore, and then they commit suicide. Like that is like the most common thing that happens. So he had lost quite a lot of friends to suicide. And then he just said like he could not emotionally deal with being on his own, and so he checked himself into a mental institution. Like he just walked in and he was like, I need some I know that like the media and society tries to paint mental health as being this like scary thing, and it being a thing like almost like a dehumanization factor, which would like cause you to need to be like separated from the general population. The problem with this is that American society right now is just really fucked up, and it is actually crazy. Like we have like a zombie apocalypse happening in like all the major cities in America right now. Like and none of those people are getting like mental health care. I don't like mental health care in this particular case would not have saved that girl. Honestly, that was a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But like it just doesn't have anything to do with violence. Like you have to think about the feelings wheel, right? And like all of the feelings in the feelings wheel, and some of them are negative. Like you are going to feel anger, you are going to feel aggression. Those are things that you're going to feel in life. Like most of us who feel that though don't just go out and go shoot people. Like that's what this guy actually did. So, but like the weird part about this is he'd actually done this before. He went out and he shot someone else, and then he shot someone else, and he shot someone else. He wasn't like okay, we could talk about like the other Nashville shooter, right? It sounds like even before that, she actually hadn't gone out and like shot anyone. She just wrote a manifesto about like anger, and even like hearing more people talk about her story. It seems like she had come to the conclusion that like by getting revenge on a particular population, I don't know what she was trying to aim for. Like what was the goal of that? I don't know. What I do know is that like it is okay to feel kind of like resentment toward a particular part of society. Like as a person who's lived amongst anti-black racists, as a person who's lived amongst anti-white racists, as a person who's lived amongst extremists, people who hate, like I have lived amongst people who hate me and like actually want me to die, including family members, okay? Like, and as a person who's lived through that, I can tell you that sometimes it can feel like impossible to move forward because there's so much objection and negativity from every angle, and there's no clear path like forward and through. And especially for Black women, I guess it's another reason why I made this particular channel, to make it like very clear, like our issues are intersectional, and they don't, like our interests don't really align with a lot of other groups. Like you can't just say like I'm female. You can't just say like I am whatever other identity marker that you have alone, because of so many prejudices and stereotypes that are affiliated to our group that are negative and bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would have to like The weird part is like to watch so many people like rally around this idea, because I keep seeing it floating through society, and it's just another one of the things I think that America does over and over again. It tries to like put a blanket over like a house fire or something, you know what I'm saying? Like you'd have to put out the fire. Like you need like water, like baking soda, like something to put out the fire. America is definitely dealing with issues of severe mental health problems, but the weirdest part is like the people who I feel like are the most crazy aren't getting any mental health treatment at all. Like, have you seen some of the people on TikTok? Have you seen some of the people on fucking YouTube? Have you seen some of the people in society? Like, this is not a normal society. It's not. Be serious. The youth that y'all are seeing, I made another video that was about like Sneeko's terrorists. You've got like 9-year-olds who are talking about how they want women to die and fuck all trans people, may they die. That's what they're saying. And they play those like criminal, what is it, like those criminal games, video games all day long. Like those are the people in society like right now. I don't, there's something that's so wrong with this society, and that I guess it's just like fair warning for you to see the stupidity for yourself. Like you just have to see it for yourself, because it doesn't make any sense at all. Like I'm not even joking. Like it was sad to see that girl, because it's been all over the news. Everybody's been talking about like that's the thing that's so strange. Like for some reason people have this false sense of like security and safety. They think that it's like safe and good here. Have you seen here? Have you? Like, have you lived here? Like since I've been living in Tennessee, I've talked to like 3 civil rights attorneys who've told me stories of like, okay, so the courts here don't even, so there was a woman who was working right at her job, and her boss put a literal noose on her desk, and then he put it in her locker, and then he put another one like I guess where her coat jacket was, and the court found that that was not an indication of like racial discrimination. A noose. Oh god, like the type of like I've literally been in you know, we'll save some of these stories for Patreon. We'll save some of these stories for Patreon. All I could tell you is that like it's really important for Black women to have spaces, okay, to share experiences in kind of like unfiltered ways, so that it's very clear how you feel, why you feel that way, what a reaction looks like for a particular feeling. Because if you don't share that experience, it becomes not trivial, that's not a good way to say it, but there's this perception that the thing that you are experiencing that is so new, that's another thing that we've got to be very clear about. Like things that are very normal for other people to like, I think the video that I'll link in the description box, which kind of describes this, there was a guy, I guess there was a political, somebody who like they voted down some law or something, and he actually made the most sense out of this. It's like at the end of the video, here's what he says. He's like, we've got a lot of people who are living in Tennessee who deal with mental health issues, and they're not out shooting people. It's the most logical thing that I heard in that entire like video. There's a lot of people who are like, violence and mental health are not like correlated as strongly as I think some of you think they are. And when someone does something violent, it could just be because they wanted to do something violent. Or if someone does something good, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good person. They might have just done something good. Everything is not black and white. Everything is not black and white. And American society is just so fucking funny. It's like actually crazy because it's like so funny. Like nothing makes any fucking sense. I was gonna make another video where I actually talked about this. There's a guy, so there's a group of black teenagers. Well, actually, I'll make another video about this. We'll talk.